back to the fantastic MDM Palace in Moscow for our final day of games here. We have had 2 great days of action already and have 4 more LCS battles lined up for you. So let's take a look at the schedule.
Друзья мои, мы ведем прямую трансляцию из Московского дворца молодежи. Позади 2 полуфинальных дня. И сегодня, друзья, нас ожидает 4 последних матча второй недели Европейского чемпионата. Давайте взглянем на турнирную таблицу.
We'll be kicking off the LCS matches as SK Gaming takes on Ninjas in Pajamas, followed by Lemon Dogs versus Evil Geniuses, Alternate versus Fnatic, and we're going to close out the day with Meet Your Makers versus Gambit Gaming. So our first matchup of the day is going to be SK Gaming versus Ninjas in Pajamas. SK is 0-2 so far this weekend, so this will be a heated battle. Let's meet the teams. First up, on the blue side, give it up for SK Gaming.
Громче, громче, друзья! Приветствуем команду SK Gaming.
And on the red side, put your hands together for Ninjas in Pajamas. Who will take home the victory here in Moscow? We will find out in just a second with our casters for the English stream, Quickshot and Joe Miller, and on the Russian stream, Aviartum and Yuppie Props.
Thanks a lot, Shocks. SK versus Ninjas in Pajamas, a game that means a whole lot to these teams. SK currently sit at 1 for 6 in the league table, and NIP not much better with just 2 wins and 5 losses. And a win for both teams here in this final, in their final game of the week, I should say, not our final game. We've still got 4 more to come. Would be a massive boost.
Yeah, you know, during the spring split, SK won all 4 of their games against the Ninjas in Pajamas, who were then known as the Copenhagen Wolves. But right now, both teams are looking a little bit out of shape. So we're going to see whether or not historically SK are going to be able to pull from all of that experience and take down Ninjas today.
So before we get started, let's remind you all of where everyone stands this day. We just talked about the 2 teams that we'll be seeing here first of all. But if we look down the league table, we have one team up there in the #1 spot. 6 wins and 1 loss for Alternate leading the table. Gambit now getting up to 2nd position with Meet Your Makers with 5 wins and 2 losses, followed then by Fnatic, who are up 4 for 3.
Yeah, and in terms of those results as well, Alternate, they had won all of their games up until yesterday against Gambit. Gambit are on a 5-game win streak. They lost their first 2 and they haven't dropped. Now we start looking down the bottom half of the table. Lemon Dogs and EG sitting firmly in that sort of 6th, 7th place, 3 and 4, 2 and 5 respectively, with Ninjas in Pajamas and SK Gaming, the matchup that we are about to see right now. They're sitting, holding down the bottom of the table. SK, it's not a position they were expecting to be in, and they're going to hope to pull off a play now that can, you know, knock the pants off everybody in this particular game.
So let's have a look then at the 2 teams here, starting on the blue side with SK Gaming. And in the top lane, of course, that man, Kevin in the jungle, Hercubot. In the mid lane, Ocelot, Candy Panda, and Nifty, AD carry and support.
And of course, for Ninjas in Pajamas, Godbro in the top lane, Sven Skeren in the jungle, Bjergsen in the mid lane, and of course the Tess and Deficio as the AD carry and support.
So don't forget, guys, you can still vote over at lolesports.com as to who you think are going to win this game and our 3 games that are coming up afterwards. Right now, I can tell you it's pretty close. In fact, it couldn't be closer, 50-50.
I don't think it can be tighter than that. And I think when you're looking at the bottom of the table at 7th and 8th place respectively, as well as how these teams are performing, Ninjas in Pajamas have been a little lackluster. SK have had moments of brilliance, but just not really there. So we'll see if it holds true, because whoever pulls out the big guns now will pick up a victory.
And of course, SK this weekend have not been looking too good. They recorded 2 losses as they went down first of all to Lemon Dogs, and then later on in the day to Gambit. It leaves them rooted to the bottom of that table. And honestly, this is a game that they really have to win against Ninjas in Pajamas.
Yeah, and in terms of the summer split, SK always did well in terms in the spring split, in terms of performing against the lower 4 teams, those guys there. Right now in the spring split, they're 1 for 6, but each game has shown them, has been showing improvement. So they've had some fantastic plays, but in order to win here, they're going to need better coordination, better communication, and better shot calling. We've seen yesterday an initiate onto a Jarvan, a flash volley bear fling onto Jarvan. It's not what you need to do. So the question is, have they improved enough to challenge the Ninjas in Pajamas?
Well, on the other side from SK, Ninjas in Pajamas results are also lackluster, but a little bit better this weekend. They lost to Fnatic, a team who they looked unstoppable. They were out for revenge, of course, against NIP, who took them down for their first win last weekend over at DreamHack, and then they took that solid victory over Lemon Dogs, which gave them that second win.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, like we said already, 2 wins, so that's 5 losses in total. Ninjas in Pajamas, they looked completely lost. There's no other way to put it when they were at DreamHack. They had very little communication, coordination. They were making poor plays, and they're looking better here in Moscow. Even after they started off badly against Lemon Dogs, they were behind. And I mean, Godbro had such a difficult time in that solo lane as Nasus versus Kennen. So we'll see if a good, confident start here will be able to help them against SK, who we also know is a confidence-built team. You know, they like to get to a good position and like to make sure that they're not caught with their pants around their ankles.
Which could be their biggest problem here, because they are at 1 for 6 right now, and that is the position that a team who relies on momentum doesn't want to be in. They can't afford really to be down here. We can see there the crowd, SK, we believe in you is the message from the fans, and they need some belief in themselves here. There've been a lot of harsh words from around the community. The management themselves at SK acknowledge that things aren't going well for them here, and this is their chance to prove to everyone, you know, that a night off almost, a sleep and a talk about the game can really help to turn things around for them. But we are into the bans and the picks. Nasa's taken out, and Shen. Nasa's, of course, is the champion that Godbro has picked twice and had 2 wins with, including that game against SK.
We have to be very, very honest. It's probably his strongest performing champion right now that we've seen on the LCS
against
stage.
Fnatic, sorry.
He's performed very well with Shen in the past, but right now that's 2 targeted bans at Godbro. We may be seeing somewhat of like a Scara strat. Ban out Godbro, realize that you can put Kevin in an advantageous situation, and we may actually see SK try to 1v1 their top laners if they're target banning Godbro's champion pool.
On the other side, Ninjas in Pajamas taking out that Nunu that we've seen prevalently banned throughout the last couple of weeks. I think we've only seen him being played twice, if my mind is not broken on that one. Certainly not more than that.
No.
And Thresh taken out as well. We know how good Nif can be with that. Deficio, also a very handy Thresh player, but deciding that they don't want that in this one. So what are SK going to go for here finally?
The question I want to know is, do SK want to play Twisted Fate or ban him? They've left him available, and Ninjas in Pajamas, we know Bjergsen plays a great TF. Ocelot has played TF, but I'm going to be very honest, I don't think he's one of the stronger Twisted Fate players. And I prefer Ocelot on a playmaking champion. We've seen him doing very well with Kha'Zix, and I'd like to see him playing something like that. His Kennen was also pretty good as well yesterday, even though they ended up losing the game against Gambit. He lost a little in the lane, made it back in the team fights, and that's really what mattered. But it does look like NIP are going to take Twisted Fate out. So Jarvan is available, Zinzao is available. I'm just trying to think of some of the other high priorities, maybe even the likes of Ezreal or Varus.
Yeah, exactly. If we look down the AD carries, Varus played twice, actually coming out there for the test. Caitlyn, though, is the big one. Both AD carries in this game have played Caitlyn 3 times out of their game so far.
In terms of that, they also probably fall back to Varus a lot. If you think back to this, the spring split and in terms of their comfort picks, I don't think Caitlyn is a first pick champion.
Nah.
But I do expect it to be maybe picked up in the 2nd or the 3rd round. You could do something like a Caitlyn Nami, which you've seen a couple times as well. Nami's come to fruition as one of the sort of go-to supports right now.
Fruition, I like to call it.
Instead, though, Nif is going to lock in Sona, make sure she just gets another comfort pick, and we talked about how impactful Nif can be with those crescendos.
Yeah, very strong Sona player. Still a little bit surprised to see that they're taking that Sona as the first pick, though, at this point. And really, they've left a lot open here to NIP. They've got 2 picks now, that Jarvan, which we've seen Svenskeren using a lot. He's played it 3 times so far in the summer split. Only won 1 game with him though, but in the spring split he was solid as a rock with that Jarvan. We do have an Orianna there, and we should also mention at this point that Malphite is still available.
Yeah, it's a good point to make, because we know that it has been as a very, very important champion over the course of the last couple of weeks, actually, promotion tournament till now as well. Elise is free, making it to the 3rd round of picks, and that's a pretty high priority champion. I don't know if Godbro has played Elise, but we've seen Bjergsen yesterday building Spell Vamp on her and playing her in the mid lane to great effect. It actually helped them pick up a win against Lemon Dogs. This time around, he's going with Orianna. Not 100% convinced it can work, but it's a little bit less of a playmaking champion that we do tend to see Bjergsen on. And I would expect maybe a Zac from Godbro. It's been his sort of second, third tier pick. If Shen, if Nasus isn't available, he does tend to fall back to that Zac.
Well, we do, of course, still have Jace available in the picks as well. Another champion that's been highly contested, especially in week 1, where I believe he had a 100% ban or pick ratio. They have gone in for that Varus, so that'll be locked in there for Candy Panda, and the Cinch out for Hercubot.
That's actually interesting that we didn't see Bjergsen picking up Jace, because I do stand to be correct, but I believe he's been practicing Jace in the solo queues and in ranked ladders. Obviously, the last 2 weeks we've been on the road, so it's less so. But I know that there's been a lot of focus around that champion, and when you think about how intense he was in DreamHack, it was just insta-ban. The one game he let through, he managed to pick up a win. He recorded a loss here, actually, I think in SK's hands yesterday, if I recall correctly. So, not necessarily the perfect record that everyone is anticipating, but Ninjas in Pajamas deciding they value Orianna and Jarvan a little more.
Yeah, Kevin had that Jace one time so far, as you said yesterday, and lost that game with him. Right now, the Ninjas in Pajamas looking like they want to pick up their support, and in the AD carry, you'd expect you to leave that AP for last. Kassadin is available, we should mention as well, and that is a champion that both Ocelot and Deficio are very, very good on. Deficio himself, of course, that was the champion that he was started to really pick up those kills. I think it was the first game of the week where he got the pentakill with Syndra. He actually played Kassadin, was getting triple kills and quadra kills, but didn't quite manage the penta.
Yes, so
what did I say?
Deficio twice.
He can do it as well.
Deficio's falling back to his Lulu, so we're going to see him on another common pick. It was one of his most played champions of the Spring Split, and exactly like you said. But I think with that Orianna locked in, it's not likely that we're going to see a top lane or a solo lane Orianna. But very interestingly, with Caitlyn slipping through, has not actually been picked up or paired with Lulu. So the test sort of falling back to a little bit more of a comfort pick. And this is something they said yesterday when we said, well, how did you guys beat Lemon Dogs? And they said, well, to be honest, we picked champions that don't really synergize together. I mean, they had Jarvan and Nasus, and there was a couple times I was actually laughing at how Cataclysm went down. Nasus wasn't inside the Cataclysm. He couldn't deal damage because of that ultimate from Jarvan. And they basically said, look, we're playing things we're comfortable with. We're playing things that we know we trust ourselves on. Yeah. And relying on that to help them overcome. It worked for Lemon Dogs. Maybe with a Kha'Zix and a Rumble, we'll see if this works, because I love Kevin's Rumble.
Yeah, Kevin's Rumble is a beast. We saw that in the Spring Split as well, and he'll be rocking that in the top lane. The Test has played Ezreal once so far in the Summer Split as well. Recorded a victory on it as well, so 100% win ratio for him with that. We'll see if that is a good omen for him here today. And it looks like they may possibly go to a Singe, which would make me a happy person. I can hear the crowd getting riled up about that, and it is going to be a Singe.
So Singe has been locked in. Now, Singe has had some tweaks to his abilities in this patch. He no longer gets the tenacity from his ultimate. So when he does pop on that insanity potion, if you CC him, you can actually kill him. The problem is there's not much CC. You've got a slow from Kha'Zix, a slow from Rumble. Yeah, you've got the Varus ult as well, but you don't ideally want to focus that on Singe. So it does play into Gobro's hands a little bit. But I do think that these low levels, Gobro's going to have a tough time against Rumble. If they do go 1v1, Rumble should be able to out-damage a Singed up until level 3, 4, 5, when he does have some more points in that Poison Trail. And once he gets his ultimate, it's just going to be a farm fest lane.
Well, we're going to find out how this one goes down. We've said it already that both of these teams really would be finding valuable points with a victory here today. SK rooted to the bottom. Ninjas in Pajamas just one place above them right now. So it's an important game from both sides of things. And I'm interested to see how SK are going to come into this one. Because as we said, they've had a lot of criticism, not just from the community, but from themselves as well. Obviously, they're very, very hard on themselves. And it's kind of, for me, it's really hard to see these teams that are so hard on themselves after the games here backstage, because you just want to hug them almost, because they are incredibly, incredibly down in scenarios like that.
That's the best way you can describe it, because the SK team, they're an outgoing team. They're loud. They've got some volume. They like to chat and talk and be friendly after games. But this SK camp, after this very terrible losing streak, they're distraught, and it's not the same people and players from the Spring Split. So we do have just the loading screen up. We'll be getting into this game very, very shortly. And remember that all these wins are so important, getting you closer and closer to that win percentage that everybody so desperately needs. Right now, we do have SK on your camera, and we will be jumping into game. You can hear the crowd cheering and celebrating. It's pretty warm here, but hopefully, at least we can feel a breeze in some way.
Indeed. That's what we rely on sometimes here, and we've got a lot of lights on us, which keeps it nice and toasty here, even in the coldest temperatures backstage. So here we go then. In game, it's SK Gaming versus Ninjas in Pajamas. SK on the blue side. Now, we talked about the amount of CC earlier on here, and that. Do you think that's going to stop anything here at level 1?
In terms of level 1, both teams have relatively weak level 1s. I think that Deficio with Lulu does have more presence if a fight were to break out. The Glitter Lance is obviously going to be able to slow loads of members of SK Gaming. Instead, it is just going to be a defensive start, and I think we're actually going to see very defensive early games from both teams unless jungle presence comes in to help out. Basically, with your backs against the wall, you don't want to make a play that's going to cost you a game this early on.
We can see already that defense being set up. It seems like we'll have, as we're accustomed to now, the red team sending their AD carry and support into this top lane so that they can get that extra boost off the start, taking the golems. Candy Panda and Nif, as you can see on your screen, are currently waiting in the Tribush. A Tribush which Ninjas in Pajamas were human warding against Fnatic earlier on in the week, and of course after that got invaded and lost 3 buffs at the start. So that's not something that SK will be looking for here, but it also is not going to happen from Ninjas in Pajamas side. Pretty standard start.
Yeah, it is. And one thing that we do have to point out with Godbro going to the bottom lane and the fact that the Tess and Deficio are going top, Rumble's going to have a slightly easier time of last hitting. The fact that he's got no resources to rely on, only has to manage that heat bar. And Godbro on Singed, it's a difficult champion to last hit with under the tower. The Poison Trail, a little bit unreliable when it comes to syncing up all of the damage and obviously tower hits, etc. So expect to see a CS advantage for Kevin. The question is, who will make that stick more once we get to the team fights?
Yeah, that is going to be the important thing about it. And you know, once you we'll see what they'll do with that Singe, because obviously what normally happens is he gets left alone to just farm and farm and farm and farm and farm. That's something that SK will be wanting to prevent here, and no real surprises. Both support players just trying to zone those single laners on completely out of the way of the minions to stop them getting that CS off and getting that experience. The junglers, Hercubot here on his blue buff. Jarvan started with blue and he's up by red. Both of them went smiteless. Actually, yes they did. Hercubot literally just used his smite, as did Svenskeren.
So pretty similar starts from both sides. Both champions have got very good early level ganks. So with that red and blue buff up, if they land the knockups, actually for both champions, it could lead to some potential kills. Svenskeren though, he's positioning himself in this top lane. Kevin is level 1. He still does not have his second ability. And if he does decide to go for something like the Flame Spitter, which is standard, he's not going to have the shield. He's not going to have that scrap heap shield. The thing is, Sven's going to have to wait a long time because the Tess has to shove that entire wave out.
Yeah, it's going to be incredibly obvious if all of a sudden now Ninjas in Pajamas just push that lane completely away from things. We're going to see Hercubot, but crucially, he's gone over a ward. Godpro knows he's there, so he should be backing off from this one, but Kevin underneath the turret is going to be in a lot of trouble. There's the knockup. Are they going to be able to finish him off? A flash comes in. Kevin actually gets him really low, but the first blood comes out for Jarvan, and Ocelot in the middle has to flash. The minions are coming in, but not enough. One more take would have done it.
So they do manage to pick up first blood in the top lane. The Tess actually tanking up that turret for a very long time. The problem is they've lost this tower in the bottom lane. There is a massive creep wave pushing towards Godbro, so that's going to help him out. Svenskeren and Deficio are doing the best that they can to shove this top lane tower down, and with the help of those minions, they should actually be able to get it. Right now, though, SK have grouped up. They've got the numbers advantage in the bottom lane, and they want Dragon.
A level 3 4-minute Dragon. Not so often that we see this kind of thing happening. Here comes Godbro from the side to try and stop this one from happening. Orianna going to come around the side as well. Can they actually get in there for this one? There's a fling on towards Candy Panda. Dragon is going to be taken here by SK as Candy Panda flashes, Bjergsen flashes, Godbro flashes. They're all flashing here. And in the end, no one goes down from that one except the Dragon.
Yeah, the problem is all of those flashes just simply revealing the positions of the players and not able to make the damage stick to the right target. Bjergsen and Godbro didn't stick to the right champion or the same champion either. They were split targeting, and basically a 2 versus 3 became a 2 versus 4, and it was a fight that they couldn't win. It was such a hairy situation for the Ninjas in Pajamas, but they managed to get away without losing anything other than the summoner spells.
So everyone pretty much just headed back off there. Ruby Crystal picked up 4 Singed and a ward just to make sure that he's not going to get pushed while he's doing his pretty much AFK farming that you can do as a Singed.
And he also lost a lot of that creep wave as well. He's sitting only on 6 CS. Even though he lost his tower, there was a big number of creeps pushing towards him. He opted to run past those towards the Dragon Pit, and that is a little bit of wasted golden experience. But we'll see if all of that vision will help make up this deficit. And of course, the tower did go down in that top lane, so they're even on that front.
Svenskeren and Herkebot are just going to spot each other in the jungle, and they literally walked away at the same time. It was almost as if that was planned there, a bit of a meeting in that jungle.
It was a love tap. Svenskeren just gave a little bit of a love tap there onto Herkebot Sins out. A very big creep wave here for Godbro in this top lane. With those towers down, he started stacking up and started pushing, but look at Ocelot's position. He's thinking about getting involved. He does have those upgraded void spikes, so he'll be able to help wave clear and control this lane if needed.
Yeah, Herkebot there was obviously around. He put that ward down after he saw Svenskeren coming in, did himself the walls, and then came to help Kevin out here in that lane. Right now, Bjergsen is causing a couple of issues for Ocelot. Constant harassment here, building up those auto attacks, getting the balls in, and making sure that he keeps himself nicely defended with that command protect as well.
Yeah, it blocked up all the damage of that tower hit, so good controlled aggression from Bjergsen. He's going to use that ranged champion of Orianna to his advantage unless Ocelot jumps in. Level 6, here comes Herkebot.
They're going straight in onto him here. They can dive this one. Bjergsen right underneath the tower. He's not going to be able to get away, but Herkebot might go down here. That one turret hit, not quite enough.
Bjergsen had his Ignite up. He didn't put it down on Herkebot. If he did, it would have been able to pick up the kill. He had no mana to land the shockwave, so he was thinking about it, trying to do it, but simply put, did not have the resources available. Herkebot sneaks himself up above the double golems here for NIP, and that puts their first kill on the board. A risky dive, but it worked out for them in the end.
Risky dive that goes in their favor. Sometimes those risks go horribly wrong. Sometimes they work out for you, and that's the kind of thing that I think SK are counting on here. They know that they've got to do something out of the ordinary compared to their performances so far in the summer split to take down Ninjas in Pajamas, who themselves, you know, they've not picked up masses of wins, but they've had good performances along the way.
Basically, what they just did there has been the misplay for SK Gaming leading up to this matchup, because they didn't make plays in the early game. They waited until they were behind. They waited until all they had left was big, brave plays. And this, some confident play from SK, does play into their favor, and it gives them this 1,000 gold lead thanks to that dragon from much earlier on. And look how much Godbro is suffering in that 1v1 lane. He's 4 times the CS behind that of Kevin.
Yeah, and Kevin's going to keep going on to him here. And he's going to put the ultimate down here as well. Will Kevin go the whole hog here?
Yep.
And he will. And that's a dead Godbro. And there you just see the absolute power advantage that he has over him.
Level 6 versus level 4. He put the equalizer down, got that Ignite up, and with that kill, actually hit level 7. Godbro's going to need a whole lot of help from Svenskeren up in this top lane, because simply put, he cannot win that lane. The slows from those Electro Hard points plus the damage is so great. Now the Tess and Deficio are feeling the hurt.
Yeah, bit of pain coming down on this bottom lane, and Candy Panda and Nif being very, very aggressive here. Pushed up onto that inner turret already. Herkebot now coming towards the middle. Bjergsen gonna have to run. He does have mana for that shockwave if he needs it this time around, and he literally just walks away with that command protect on.
And that's exactly the reason that we didn't see Herkebot diving. He realized that a shockwave was an imminent threat. He knew that the Ignite had not been used in the previous engagement, so instead of full-heartedly diving a tower on a full health Orianna, he simply forces her out of lane, puts a little bit of pressure, and allows Ocelot this wave to pretty much farm it up freely. Right now, though, Candy Panda and Nif, they've come to put some damage down on this mid turret, and it's a 4 versus 3 with SK having the numbers advantage.
That's really ultimate just coming across there. Didn't really catch many of them. Okay, only hit 1 or 2 at the most. But SK, with that 4-man push, did get a couple of hits onto the turret. There is Kevin again, putting down some pressure onto Godbro. 22 to 46 CS with that kill coming down 2 points there. It's a 1,000 gold lead already after just 9 minutes for Kevin.
Now that's a massive, massive number, and you've seen how quickly Kevin could chunk Godbro down in the previous games. But we have seen this before from Godbro and from Ninjas in Pajamas, that the top lane is sort of the, in case of emergency, leave him on an island and we'll bring him back later, because you know how well Singe does scale if you give him time. If NIP can pick up a few more towers, and even if they lose that top tower, it'll actually give Godbro some safer farming because Kevin's not going to be willing to overextend past the river.
Well, Kevin right now is going to go through, sticks a ward down. Svenskeren was right there on top of him. And he's not going to take chances with that one. Nif already getting a pink ward down on top of this dragon, and SK are all over it.
Basically, it spawns at 10:20 on the dot. So with this coming up, or 10:21 on the dot.
Almost.
Almost there, almost there. Because of that incredibly early dragon, SK had full timing on it. And the thing that I love is that Kevin arrived at the exact second that it spawned. He even knows how long it'll take him to walk from the top lane to the dragon pit, put a ward down defensively, and basically this is SK signaling, we want to control this objective, we don't want you to have it. Godbro actually used his insanity potion to push that wave even further.
Well, to be honest, he needs a farm at this point, so every little bit that he can get is a big help for him. But that means, though, that Kevin's going to be boosting himself even more from that one. Already got that Haunting guys in there, picked up Pink Ward as well from this. So interesting to see what Kevin may be aiming for with this. Ocelot got himself the Brutalizer in there now as well. Seeker's Arm Guard picked up first for Bjergsen.
The thing that I really like about those pink wards from Kevin, he's going to be able to now overextend and stay attacking the tower because he's going to deny the vision of his opponent. Make sure that if he wants to fight right now, though, Bjergsen's been jumped on by Ocelot.
Yeah, he's going to pop the ulti. Here comes Hercubot from the backside, uses the shockwave, but Ocelot flashes over it there, picks up the kill. Nicely done. And Hercubot is still going in for this one. They need to be careful of Godbro Singed. And in the end, Svenskeren will just walk away. Hercubot decides not to follow through. But this is looking like a very different SK. This is looking like a confident SK gaming.
This is the SK from the previous, but Hercubot jumped onto Jarvan.
Yeah, they're going to keep going in this one. Gets the knock-up. Not quite able to get in there. And seems like Hercubot's a step ahead of his teammates through this.
Yeah, I also think that's a little bit of maybe not listening to the same person, because if Hercubot made the call, let's go, and if Rumble and Kha'Zix had jumped on top with an equalizer as well as all their damage, they probably could have picked that kill up, which is why I got so excited. At the moment, though, Hercubot is making dives, and he's not being followed up. So if Ninjas in Pajamas can realize that and go, well, wait for Zinzao to jump in there, he's not very tanky right now, we can focus him down and then turn to the rest of their opponents.
So let's have a look at the items here between the two AD carries there. Pretty much tied up on CS there, and it's less than 10, let's call it that. Double Doran's Blade boots at the moment for Varus. I'm assuming that Candy Panda does have plenty of gold to spend. Spirit of the Elder Lizard picked up already for the test. So it looks like he's going that more and more common now blue Ezreal build.
Now the reason I like the blue Ezreal build here, it works against his opponent's composition. It works against Kha'Zix, against Zinzao, and against Rumble even. Get the slowdown, control the tempo of the fight. So even though it's going to take him a little longer and he's not going to have as much damage as his opponent Candy Panda, who's now just picked up the Greaves, the Cutlass, and is working towards the Blade, it works. It builds him armor, etc. So we'll see how effectively the test can make that work, as Godbro has been found out by Kevin, and that's quite a bit of damage actually from those harpoons alone.
Yeah, throwing him back though. Has to use his ultimate here. That Insanity Potion running. And in the end, it's going to mean that Kevin gets himself a full free wave anyway. Has seen Jarvan come in, so as soon as that's gone, he's off.
Yeah, he's going to play it quite safe. Still sitting on that pink ward as well. So Kevin not really feeling like he can overextend or push this wave further than is safe. Luckily, with some of the free time that Godbro has had in this lane, he's caught up in levels. He was at 1.3 levels behind. Now he is only 1. Nif's presence is definitely hanging around, and we've seen some very good flash crescendos. And it's a combo that, if you're not expecting it at this early stage of the game, can really cost your team.
Yep, certainly. That unpredictability that Nif has showed is one of his strong points here. We've got 3 men defending currently in the top, Orianna and Ezreal not too far away even. This could be a bit of a dangerous time for SK Gaming if they're not careful. Yep. Zinzao has just spotted one of them. They are going to go in on towards Svenskeren here. There is Bjergsen coming around the side, and they are going to go in. Where's the shockwave? Actually, Wild Growth coming out. There's a crescendo. Lands onto 2 of them. But they actually get knocked away to safety there from Hercubot. They managed to finish off Godbro. There's the shockwave, and it was, for me, far too late there in that fight.
Completely agree with you. They were hoping for Svenskeren to put the shockwave down in the middle of the team, but as he did his dash combo across the members of SK, they were no longer grouped together. Bjergsen held on to that shockwave. It ended up costing them Godbro and Svenskeren going down. They're going to lose the top tower. That's 3 towers in a row. And with 1.5 minutes to go, SK can recall, heal up, shop, and position for Dragon.
Yeah, or keep pushing, maybe. Who knows? Here we go. Ocelot actually coming around the side there, and you see those Void Spikes already with the Man Immune and the Brutalizer picked up, starting to do some good damage. Red buff is going to be stolen away here as well. Candy Panda just helping out. Did he actually pick it up?
Candy Panda picked it up.
Hercubot had the one from before.
Yep.
So.
Hercubot's one is about to time out. There's a couple seconds left on that. And we do see Candy Panda with a nice fresh red buff steal. So very good positional play. See a minute and 10 seconds on the clock. There's not much vision here for SK Gaming. NIP should be roughly aware that the Dragon's going on, but they are so far behind right now. At 15 minutes on the clock, to be 6,000 gold down, it is a very, very big amount. And look at every single member of SK making their way towards this Dragon Pit. I do expect this to be a 4 or a 5-man Dragon.
Yeah, and look at the CS between the AD carries here as well. I mentioned before, Ezreal 10 CS lead. It's now switched over completely, and there's 1,000 gold between them. Same in the middle lane, same in that top lane as well. In fact, it's even approaching 2,000 gold there from that side of things. So not looking like such a great game so far from Ninjas in Pajamas, but SK have been notoriously a team, if I can find my word, notoriously a team who have had leads that they've thrown away in the past.
One of the things that's going to come into play here is whether or not SK can close out. That's the Insanity Potion for Godbro. They've jumped onto Hercubot. Dragon is up, and they're trying to pick a fight here, but they really don't have position. The thing is, if Hercubot is forced to recall and heal and that Smite's not available, we may actually see Ninjas in Pajamas making a play for Dragon. So that could become very important. They've got the timer on it, and they're moving towards it.
Ocelot actually coming through there to put a ward inside of that Death Brush. Will just throw the Void Spikes down. Of course, he's a little bit safer. Doesn't want to be caught out, though, with a Shockwave. He needs to be a little bit cautious of that one. And it looks like NMP just going to be bullied away.
So no Insanity Potion for Singed, no True Shot Barrage yet for the Tessa's Ezreal. In exchange, Hercubot was only forced to pop the Xin Zhao ultimate. So Crescent Sweep for 2, they'll be happy with that trade. And you can see the call from NIP going, we're actually not strong enough to pick this fight. Back off, back off. And they're going to lose the 3rd Dragon of the game before 20 minutes.
Yeah, SK managing to force them away and not dragging their heels about picking that one up. Right now, SK going to move back towards middle. Let's see if they can push through and have any more than that. Obviously, all the outer turrets now have been taken down for them, and the wards on the Dragon side of the NIP jungle, at least. On the Dragon side, I guess that's right. On the bottom side of the jungle. Yeah, so Ensuion's actually going to go into this one. Wild Growth comes in. That's a great ultimate from Candy Panda, but Hercubot's got right in there. There's the equalizer from around the side. Have they got the damage? Yes. A Shockwave lands on only Kevin, and now the test's going to be slowed down here. Can Candy Panda actually finish things off? Needs just one more hit. Here comes Ocelot from the side. He's totally missed all the Void Spikes. He's going to die. He got the Ignite down onto Bjergsen, though, right at the end, but to be honest, Ocelot should have had more there. Yeah, 1 for 1. I cannot believe Hercubot got away with his life. Ocelot just too slow, just not able to make those Void Spikes stick. Candy Panda put a lot of hurt down onto Ninjas in Pajamas. It's going to result in them picking up a 4th tower in the game and extending that gold lead to 7.8 thousand gold. And a massive, massive misplay here from Bjergsen. That's double Seeker's Arm Guards. Is there a particular reason that I may be missing right now why he would go that way? Stress of being 7,000 gold behind. The Seeker's Arm Guard will upgrade into that Zonya's Hourglass, and I think he's going to sit on it for a little while until he sells it when he has enough money to actually complete the item. Well, it is Arm Guard. So we're getting 2 of them. Arms guards. It's now got arms guards. Of course, because you don't want one of your limbs to be naked for the entire game. It's better to dress both of them up as and where you can. So double Seeker's Arm Guards coming out here. Maybe we'll see double boots. Maybe even double, leggings if we get them at some point. No one needs leggings, that's true. So let's have a look down the items after that then. We see the difference between the junglers. One of them with the Aegis, one with that Runic Bulwark already finished in here. That's a big difference between the two. Between the AD carries, that Spirit of the Elder Lizard just added a BF sword to that Vamp Scepter as well now. Has the test, but on the other side, Blade of the Ruin King is already done, which was done before that fight actually. Yep. So I think Candy Panda's actually sat on a bit of gold. Yeah, Candy Panda's doing very, very well this game, sitting on about 1,700 gold. Most likely will be heading back to pick himself up a BF sword in the not too distant future. Right now, though,
SK are playing aggressive. They're getting very good ward coverage. I mean, if you look at that mini-map, it's like a Christmas tree. It's just blue dots everywhere, just absolute complete vision. And that's what's allowing SK to make these plays, you know, knowing fully where their enemies are. They're trying to make a setup here, trying to maybe bait NRP in, but I think they're aware of it. I think they know something, you know, fishy is up.
Yeah, I don't think that they'll be pulled into that one here. They'd be very silly to allow that to happen. And they've gone over the top of a ward, which will be revealed here as Nif with his Oracle on goes straight over the top of it. This top lane actually pushed fairly heavily already. They're going to steal the red buff away for a second time in a row. Again, going over on towards Candy Panda. And NIP are expecting this push to come to the top lane. They're trying to clear out that wave as quickly as they can.
Yeah, and the thing is, NIP, they do have relatively good wave clear when you do add in some of Ezreal's damage plus Orianna, as well as the Lulu. But it's not as powerful as the Kha'Zix Void Spikes and the Piercing Arrow from Varus. So if a siege does come in from SK Gaming, they're going to have the advantage of staying at the tower much simpler than NIP will have from forcing the minion wave back from it.
And look at that there, Nif spotting, thanks to his teammates, pretty much every single ward that was put down out of desperation there for NIP to spot where the SK push was going to be coming next. In the end, it came in the most obvious of places once again, that top lane where the minions were pushed. We can see Ocelot just waiting off towards the side here. His Void Spike's not quite landing onto the NIP team. And the pings on the minimap, quite furious here from SK. They want to get rid of more wards.
They've got to be a little bit careful here because they have this massive advantage. But if you remove one of your members, one of your most farmed and fed members, it's going to set up a situation where a 4v4 or a 5v4 could come into play. So Ocelot does try to split push in that mid lane. And you can see that Bjergsen has decided to roll around and try to defend the wave. Now the rest of SK are on here and the NIP are hot-footing it back as quick as possible. They have got in position to at least defend the tower, but at the moment SK are just playing the map and playing it beautifully. This is 21 minutes on the clock. This is not something we've seen from them before.
No, this is pretty quick to get in this position now. They're not far away from 10k gold, which, you know, is something that SK have really been aiming for in this game. They won, Ninjas in Pajamas, won, and as did SK actually, their final game of the last play day of week 1 at DreamHack to actually pick up their first victories for either side. So possibly a good omen here for SK Gaming. I say good in the loosest of sense, of course, as we are going to see the shockwave coming down here on towards Nif. He puts the crescendo down, and SK look like they want to fight this one. They're a little bit disjointed as the equalizer goes down in there as well. GodPro still stood right on top of it, and it's a crazy fight as Ocelot going to be jumping out from that one. They lost Nif. NIP 1 for 0, they'll take that. Yeah, definitely. The problem is now they've got a lot of ultimates which are not available. So even though they got the kill, Candy Panda and Ocelot, and Kevin moving towards this top lane, I thought they were going to try and put pressure on the tower. Instead, they're going to play it safe and go, well, we hung around too long. We didn't actually focus any turrets. They were dancing back and forth for 2 and a bit minutes and went, right, we need to have a proper concerted attack plan. Let's back off, heal up, spend some of that money, 2,700 gold for Candy Panda, and then continue the pressure again. Yeah, there's a point where you just have to go back and spend your money. Yeah. Bloodthirster picked up there for the test, and we can see the BF Sword pickaxe for Candy Panda. So, Dragon is available. It's pretty much a freebie at this point for SK Gaming. Not much that NIP will be able to do about it. As SK get those wards in again. And Bjergsen's build has been completely messed up by that double Seeker's Arm Guard because he's recently picked up a KG's Lucky Pick as well. Sold one of his potions, and he's sitting on a mix match, a smorgasbord, I think is the term, of items that don't really add up to a traditional Orianna build right now. With the blue buff, this is going to help a lot, if, of course, it doesn't get stolen away, and I don't know if it did. Also, got it! He got it! So very well played. Now SK with the blue buff and positioning on Dragon, they're going to pick up their 4th Dragon in a row, uncontested and unchallenged. 3rd Dragon. 3rd Dragon in a row. Yeah, yeah. Either way, they're all in a row. NIP have not had a sniff at them yet. And that's the important thing coming out. Another blue buff taken away from Bjergsen. Means more time to wait. He's gone in for that Morella Nomicon. At this point, obviously, going to give him that bit of cooldown reduction that he needs and the mana regen as well. But honestly, the problem is that he doesn't have any power at this stage. Yeah, so those shockwaves are meh waves, as you've called them in the past. We've seen a couple of them used already, and
One was a bit late, one is a bit questionable, so the real pressure and real question for Bjergsen is how many elos does his Shockwave have? Can he pull a Forellan Lord? Can he, group up SK at the right time? Because if he does, it's going to allow the Test and Svenskeren to clean up. But if he's not able to position them and burst them down, it's going to be a very difficult position to be in.
I think almost it's a case of SK making a mistake to let that happen, actually, which could happen. You can never count that out, even at this super high level of the game. As we see here, Kevin's actually coming around the side. They've pinged his position, so they know that Rumble is going to try and get in here on top of them. Will he put the equalizer down and go for this one? It looks like it. Ocelot going to jump in. Wood Spikes pretty much out into thin air there, though. Yeah,
it is. We do see the Bjergsen moving to the bottom lane. He's going to clear this massive wave and shoving down the inner turret. The rest of SK, I thought they might have wanted to pressure the mid lane, having the positional advantage. Instead, they've started to group up and move towards the bottom lane. So Equalizer is down. It's not the longest of cooldowns, a little bit over 1 minute and 10 seconds or so right now, less than 1 minute before it's up again. And I don't think SK will make a big push until that's up and available again.
So one thing that we had with SK in the spring split, and actually with Ninjas in Pajamas, was the ability to clear out. That's a nice steal. That's a very nice steal there with the True Shot Barrage from the Test. One of the problems that both of these teams had was the ability to close out games.
And it's one that's showing right now. 21 minutes on the clock. SK had this massive lead. I don't think they're 100% confident in what they want to do. They try to go top, they try to go middle, they try to split, they try to group, they try to pick a fight that was a bit ambitious at the best of times. If that equalizer had been followed up with a flash crescendo or a flash chain of corruption, yeah, then you're going to lock people in place, but it wasn't. So right now, SK, they're just trying to find something that works, and the next gambit that they're going to pull is the Death Bush. They know that they have vision superiority. Nif has had an Oracles for a very long time, so they know there's no wards, and basically going, well, let's see if we can, bait the Ninjas to come and play with us.
Well, let's see. There is a ward there in the back, and there is that taken down. Damashian Standard comes in. Nif having to tank that one up. Unfortunate for him that it didn't hit Hercubot at least, but these wards are going to be going down as SK roam with a complete unit. And that's where they can maybe get something going on here. Hercubot is going to get caught at the back. Svenskeren started to go in there. True Shot Barrage comes down. Godbro is going to get completely caught. Here comes Ocelot. Gets the reset on the jump. Can they go further? Great shockwave there at the back to slow things down, but they're still going here. Ocelot is going to get himself another one. Actually, it was Kevin that got the double. Ocelot does get his second, and now Svenskeren is the last man left alive in that top rush. He tries to hide it. There is Ocelot jumping in. He got a triple there, technically. It was only the double because of the time in between, and SK are going to try and push through.
Complete destruction of Ninjas in Pajamas, getting caught out. Svenskeren tried to make a play. He thought he'd seen an opportunity, jumped in there, and to be honest, ended up costing his entire team's life here. 12-3 in terms of kills, 12,000 gold. Inhibitor's going to go down. The rest of SK going to recall, spend their money, and probably position for Baron. They're going to have minions doing the rest of the map work for them.
Yeah, certainly are. There's a lot of gold to spend here as well, as we are going to see Locket of the Iron Solari for Nif, Infinity Edge for Candy Panda, Guardian Angel, and the Muraman are finished there as well for Ocelot's Kha'Zix. And on the other side, Spirit of the Ancient Golem was picked up for Svenskeren's Jarvan 4.
It's just, they're so far behind in terms of items. Right now, NIP with this massive gold deficit, they have to completely catch somebody out as a complete misplay in order to make anything work. And, with Rumble's power, with the Rylai's Crystal Scepter, the AoE slow, with the Leandri's Torment for poke, any damage that gets put down is going to be very difficult to come back from, as they don't have a designated healer. They don't have any way to sustain through any of the damage that they're going to put down. And a Guardian Angel was picked up by Ocelot as well. So similar build to what we've seen him pulling out against EG, and he's going to jump in. Even if he dies, it'll be a strategic death. The rest of SK will rally around his about to respawn body and then shut down the NIP players.
Well, let's see what SK's plan is right now. They need to turn the last push went down. Super Minions already headed up in towards the base, and it looks like they're going to try and starve them even further here and take away another blue buff.
So another steal coming down for SK Gaming. That's multiple reds, multiple blues. You see them now stacking up. Remember that when a inhibitor's down, all the minions gain that additional HP, so your waves are naturally going to push against your enemy. And this will give NIP a little bit more farming time, but against a Rumble, a Zen, and a Kha'Zix, if you sit for too long on your heels, you're going to get jumped on eventually. At some point, SK will say, we are now strong enough to win a fight.
Yeah, and they're doing this the textbook way, you know, no risks. Take down the turret slowly but surely. You're going to go there, but that also increases the risk as now everyone on the NIP side as well gets more powerful. That a fight could go pear-shaped for them. A good shockwave comes in here, and that could be the end of it. Svenskeren getting the command protect on him, already put his Damascus standard right on top of SK hiding in the bush.
Yeah, so we once again see SK. They want to make a play happen, but they're not 100% confident in where they can find that opportunity. So we do see that Nif has picked himself up another Oracle's Elixir. He'll be drinking that as soon as he gets within range of the Baron pit. And I think these next few minutes, SK are going to be positioning vision, denying their opponent's vision, and forcing NIP's hands. They'll either take a Baron, or they'll force NIP to fight them at or around Baron. And that's basically going to be the position SK wants to be in, because they've got this great buffer of items and damage that simply cannot be overcome by NIP.
Haunting Guys was just picked up there by Bjergsen, and he really is in a strange place when it comes to his build right now, with that double Seeker's Arm Guard pickup. Let's see what impact he has, because if he doesn't land a shockwave, I don't think that NIP really have a chance to win this game.
And the thing about that shockwave as well, because he does have some penetration, and there's not the largest amount of magic resist coming from their opponents, but with that Runic Bulwark on there, with all the lifesteal and the active that Candy Pan is going to have from that Blade of the Ruined King, as well as the sustain from Nif plus the Locket, I actually don't think that the shockwave is going to be enough. It needs to be a perfect shockwave and a perfect point-blank true shot barrage onto the carries in order for Nip to do enough damage, and we'll see if they can pull this back. But basically, this is SK Gaming's game to lose.
There is a final turret outside of the base taken down by SK Gaming. Also, Super Minions are still streaming up the middle lane as well. It looks like SK just going to back off. They're pinging a rate, which every little bit of gold helps at this point, I suppose.
And SK have done very well to control NIP's juggle. They've been taking camp after camp, objective after objective, and again, their ward control is very, very good. Now they know they're in an advantageous position. They've started off the Baron Nashor, and we do see that it was a 3-man start. They're a little bit nervous of the dive buddies of Svenskeren and Godbro. So they wisely back away, and they know they've got vision. There's the equalizer down. This could potentially be the final fight. NIP are scattering.
Yeah, SK trying desperately to actually get around here and do something.
They've outpositioned them.
Yeah, they have outpositioned them. They can just literally head off towards this top lane. NIP would be better off recalling, I think, right now. Otherwise, they're going to be losing everything before they can actually react to this one whatsoever. And now, SK going to turn around. We see Svenskeren go in there. He gets locked up. There's the crescendo going over the back. Ocelot trying to take down the test. They're going to manage that one. The Wild Growth comes in. Shockwave gets Ocelot. His Guardian Angel is there, though. That gets popped, and now the rest of SK are finally going to join into the back of the fight. And this should be a massacre. 2 for Ocelot. He finally dies. Bjergsen will try and flash away. Kevin's not going to let him go with that. Riley's slow. Hits him with the harpoon to get the kill. That's 4 men down. Kevin wants to add to his KDA here by taking down Deficio as well, who, now, he might even die to minions. He's that soft at this point. It's going to be an ace for SK Gaming. And with 25 seconds, 25 to 40 seconds really left on the clock for the spawns, they might be able to go through.
I think they might try and focus 2 inhibitors down. They could decide to push for it. The fact that Candy Pan is still up is great, and they do have super minions on that bottom inhibitor, so we'll see how long they stick around. But I do think it's just going to be 1 and 2 inhibitors and probably backing off. The thing that was great about that play, SK pretty much said, we want the inhib. So the rest of SK focused it. Ocelot says, I'll distract them. I'll jump in with my GA, I'll put the Void Spikes down, interrupt the recalls, and pretty much buy time for you to get the objective. But NIP picked the fight. NIP was running towards the SK members, at which point they said, let's all in, let's fight, 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 and they picked up another 4-for-1 exchange, or ace, sorry, 5-for-1 exchange, plus the top lane inhib.
There's another Oracle being picked up here by Nif. It seems like he's had one for the last 20 minutes of this game, and I think he probably has as well. Only died that once. They've literally been timing out on him. That's how long he's had them. So, what is the plan here now for SK? There's a dragon on the map if they want that boost from that. Don't think it really matters at this point. Now, they're 13,000 gold in the lead. They've got the option to go, obviously, up towards that Baron and try and draw Ninjas in Pajamas in, but the scenario that they've got is a 1 inhibitor down in the top lane, the middle inhibitor completely open. There's only 1 turret left on the map outside of the Nexus.
there's not much that NLB can do except for sitting on the towers that are left. That's all that they can afford to do, is sit back on a turret and hope that SK Gaming will pick a fight there. If SK decide to play the split push game, which they will, they'll have one or two of the champions pushing the other lanes, then NIP need to pick a 4v4 and win it. That's very, very important for them. Finally, Bjergsen has sold that Seeker's Arm Guard. He's picked himself up a needlessly large rod and is a couple 100 gold away from completing that Zhonya's Hourglass. So that will help him in his team fights, but it's just too late. I mean, there's no other way to say it. Godbro has flung Hercubot backwards. Candy Panda is bashing away on the inhib, and it's not the fight yet, but they're pretty much just zoning to buy Candy Panda on his Varus as much time as possible to get the second inhib down.
Relatively decent damage actually coming out there on towards Hercubot, but they've got that Sona, as you said early on. She's just going to be spamming that heal time and time again, and at some point he's going to be back up towards that full HP total. But it looks like SK are very, very nervous about coming into this one. Nif does not have flash up, and I think once he has flash, that may be the signal to go here for SK if he flash Crescendo's in. And there is the shockwave though. They're going to go in on top of Candy Panda. Look decent here for Ninjas in Pajamas at the start. There is a Cataclysm coming down. The inhibitor has gone. The test is going to be picked up by Candy Panda, and quite frankly, SK are just far too strong at this stage of the game. It's a double kill to end things off there by Ocelot. Get the ace as well. The turrets go down, and SK Gaming are finally going to break that horrible run of losses that they've had here this weekend and win a game against Ninjas in Pajamas.
And in such fantastic style, I'm happy to see Ocelot back on Kha'Zix. It is a strong champion for him. It's what helped them pick up a victory against Evil Geniuses, and they've done it now again against Ninjas in Pajamas. Nif, though, is the reason that fight went so well for SK Gaming. I think he got a 4-man crescendo right at the end. He stopped Bjergsen from doing anything more. He locked up NIP and just gave them all the time in the world to react and to recover from that initiation from NIP. That should tie them both up at 2 wins and 6 losses apiece, holding steady, tied for 7th, I suppose, because 8th spot is still to be determined.
Yeah, and there you see the determination of SK Gaming, a team that have looked down for the past couple of days here. They, honestly, they didn't look in good shape after the games either. They emotionally drained, angry at themselves, probably angry at each other in ways as well, but they've had time to talk about it. This game went to plan, and it really was a step-by-step victory. Well executed. They pick up their 2nd one of the season, and as you said, tied up with Ninjas in Pajamas. So we're going to head over to our analyst for this one to break that game down. It's, of course, Demon and Jason.
Yes, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. We are back, and a cheeky little wink from Ocelot just at the end there, just giving you guys some love. And you did see, actually, the Ocelot army is pretty strong here. There was a whole people holding up the Ocelot sign. They are very strong everywhere across the world, honestly.
Well, when you have 200,000 followers on Facebook, I think you have a giant army.
You got a pretty big army there. But SK Gaming finally looking strong, and actually, you know, they're continuing their dominance. I don't know how much they caught on it before. Obviously went 4-0 in the Spring LCS. They're now 1-0 in the Summer LCS. Will they go all the way? But that Bjergsen error, is that a double click? Just going back, mine not in the game. What is going on with Double Seeker's Arm Guards?
I think that definitely was a misclick. I mean, the passives don't stack on it, so you don't get the extra 15 AP and 15 armor, but... Well, it was a little bit of a mistake, but luckily he didn't, sell it right away, like, oh crap, sell it, and then try to buy something else. He kept on to it, at least held it for a while, and tried to make something out of it.
Well, I mean, at least the armor-ish kind of worked against Kha'Zix, but that's the 2nd win for Kha'Zix. Trevor just mentioned it. They're the 2 wins that SK have got, and they're the 2 times that Ocelot has got Kha'Zix. It was actually the 4th pick this time around, so they held on for a long time. They saw Orianna coming in fairly early on, and they just waited, but that was very well played. Ocelot 10-2-7 could have been way more, because obviously we saw it when he jumped in. If it had just flashed before the Voice Box Quadrica was asked to be had there.
I really think that SK just in general caught NIP with their pants down, because you just look at what happened throughout the entire game early on. They took that turret right away. They didn't get the first blood, obviously, but they took the turret and they rotated around and were able to just pretty much control the game and force NIP to react to them. And of course, every fight they took, they couldn't stop Kevin. That rumble on him, we saw it do so well back in the spring split. We wondered why did he stop playing it, where'd it go? And he showed right there that he shouldn't do that, because he finished 7-1-10 from that game. Absolutely.
So that takes Ninjas in Pajamas and SK Gaming to 2-6. And well, we're not going to hang around. We want to get a word from the man himself. It's Ocelot on stage with Shocks.
Thank you very much. Here it's Ocelot, team captain, of course, of SK Gaming. a great game, a great win from you guys, and it seemed to me that for the first time this weekend, you were really playing as a team, getting those objectives, and you as well.
Well, it's most likely we didn't have any training in between DreamHack and Russia, not even have any training in the last 2 months. So anything we try is gonna be tried for first time in front of the crowd, in front of 150K people or 200K people. So it's really risky, but it worked out and nothing else to say. I'm actually kind of happy because if we would have lost, it would have been kind of bitter. So yeah.
So Carlos, I was going to ask you what's going on with the team. We also saw the tweet of the CEO, of course, but I seem to be asking you the same question every couple of weeks. So when are we going to see a consistent good SK?
Well, problem is that when players hit certain level of fame or whatever, they tend to stop being grounded. And I think we really need to make sure we understand this is a dream. We need to make sure we understand we have to train more than others to win and to play better than them. We are not just gifted by being born better than others. We have to train more than others. If we don't train, we don't win. It's as easy as that. It doesn't matter you're called Ozelo, doesn't matter you're called Kevin or whoever. If you don't train, you don't get better, you lose.
All right. You guys are extremely popular here in Russia. What do you want to say to your Russian fans?
Well, it's crazy. I never thought actually I had this, we had this fan base in Russia. I'm seeing a lot of banners with SK, Ozelo, and crazy. I didn't expect it. Even against Gambit, some of them were actually rooting for us, which is crazy. And all I can say is, maybe I screw up right now. Россия, спасибо.
Thank you very much, Carlos, and congratulations. Now, we've put one game in the books, and there's so much more to come as the Lemon Dogs take on Snoopy and the veteran Evil Geniuses next, after the break.